Hey there, Tiff here. Are you getting nervous prior to actually getting out there in your sport and playing? Is that a yes? Can I hear that? Yes, Tiff, I do get nervous before I actually get out there and play. Well, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how you can actually overcome your nerves prior to stepping out into that arena and playing your sport. So don't go anywhere. I'll be with you very shortly and I'll see you soon. Hey there, Tiff here. Welcome to Ambition Habits. So lovely to have you here today. Oh, geez, the nerves can really get you, can't they? They can make you or break you as such. I know from my own personal experience with overcoming nerves in performance in sport can be quite a challenge, which I'll share with you a little bit later. But it can be nervous, and the reason that you do get nervous is because you care. You want to do well. I understand that. So what we need to do though is we need ways in which we can then manage that nervousness better. I'm not saying that you can actually get rid of your nerves, but what we want to be able to do is we want to overcome them and control them so much better so that you can actually perform so much better when you're out there playing in your sport. And that's the most important thing. We want to make sure that you're feeling like you're in control versus out of control, and you can't perform the way that you want to because you're so worried about what might happen, right? It's that fear of the unknown. So we're going to be looking at ways in which we can actually deal with that. Now, before we get into the steps on what we can do to deal with some nerves a whole lot better, what I'm going to share with you now is what actually happens when you get nervous. And you might be able to relate to this because when I was doing the research around this, I was like, oh, that used to be me. Yeah, that used to be me. That used to be me. I used to do that too. And you might be able to relate to some of these things. So there's about 13 I'm going to read out to you. Just tick it off in your mind if that's something that you can relate to when you get really nervous about when you're going to go and compete or in your sport. So the first one is like the tightening of the muscles. So you might find that your muscles get really tight. You might find that you clench your jaw a bit more. You might find that you get tension in your neck. You may find that you increase your breathing. So you're starting to pant a little bit more. You might find that your body may feel heavy, like you can't move it real well. That was a huge one that I had when I was competing in tennis years ago. My body would get so heavy, I felt like I couldn't move. It was like I had weights on my legs, like 20-kilo weights on each leg, and I couldn't move. Number 4, self-conscious. So you may be worried about what's happening. Like I find that when we're playing sport, we're quite vulnerable because we're putting ourselves out there. So we get more self-conscious about that. We have negative self-talk and doubt. Number 6, difficult to focus. Number 7, don't perform well. So all of these things can be reasons of why you're not performing well. Number 8 is you're more cautious. So you're frightened of making mistakes, so you become more cautious. Number 9, you make more errors. So usually when you're more cautious and worrying about making mistakes, you tend to make more errors. 10, you find that you're easily distracted. So you get distracted by everything. Everything seems to annoy you or distract you. So there might be people playing near you that are talking all the time and you're feeling highly distracted by that. You might be worrying about what other people are thinking while they're watching you. 11 can be frustration and you're feeling embarrassed. Again, I can relate to that from my tennis days, is really frustrated and really embarrassed about the way I used to play. So you felt like the skill wasn't good enough. You weren't performing well. You felt a bit like a fool. What's the point of being out there playing because you're just playing so poorly. 12, massive thing that happens from all of these things is that you lose confidence. So that's a huge thing. And that's why I'm always focusing on building confidence in you, because it's so easy to lose confidence around this. And then 13 is worrying about disappointing others. So you may feel that there's family members or friends or even teammates. You might be playing in a team, and you don't want to let other people down, or you've just started playing a sport and the others are much better at it than you are, and again, you don't want to disappoint them or let them down or hold them back. So there's some quite significant things that can actually happen when you get nervous. So my question is to you is did you relate to any of those? Like I can tell you straight away by reading some of those out, was tightening of the muscles, body felt heavy, self-conscious, negative self-talk, doubt, difficult to focus, difficult to perform well, was more cautious, made more errors, easily distracted, felt embarrassed, lost a lot of confidence, and I worried about what other people thought. So you can see that what happens is when you start getting nervous and you start getting worried about things, you can see how this can then take over you, because you're actually not focusing on what you need to be doing. You're actually worrying about what might happen. So the clear point that I want to make from that is that when we get nervous and these types of let's say symptoms come up, it's really the fact that what's actually going on for us is that we're worrying and we can't think straight and we don't have a clear plan in place in what we actually need to be doing. So I'm going to give you a quick example around this just so you can relate to it a little bit better. And what actually happened to me, doesn't happen to me so much now these days because I've done a lot of development around my sport in golf and now playing lawn bowls and so on, and any other sport that I venture into. I tend not to get these things because I know how to deal with them better. But when I was playing tennis and I was, pursuing a professional tennis career at the age of 18, 19, 20, and I had all of those symptoms. So I can remember a particular tournament where I was playing a woman who was in the top 100 in the world at the time, and we were just playing a tournament, a weekend tournament, and she just came back to from overseas to get some practice in, and I had drawn her in the first round. And what I found was that I was so nervous about playing her because, I saw her as this great player. And so what I worried about was about my performance. So my body felt heavy and I couldn't walk. I couldn't run to the ball. Like I felt like I had these 20-kilo weights on my legs. Felt like I had these 20-kilo weights sitting on my arms. Like nothing could move, I struggled to get to the ball. So I'd watch the ball go past me and it'd only be a racket and arm lengths away, but I just couldn't get to it. I was worrying about what I was going, how much I was going to lose by each time. I wasn't focused on the score. I was embarrassed about what people would be thinking of me. Like I was so worried about the score that I couldn't remember what the score was after each point. And I remember changing ends after I lost the first set. And I lost the first set 6-love because I couldn't do anything. I'd either hit the ball out, couldn't move to the ball, hit the ball into the net. And I got ready to serve on the next, after we changed ends. And it wasn't even my turn to serve. I'd already served. But I was so blanked out by the worry, the embarrassment, what people thought of me, how much work I'd put into this, and I'm failing, embarrassingly failing. And so I couldn't focus, I couldn't put anything together. And right throughout that next set, and I lost that 6-love as well. And right through that next set, I just went through the same. I felt like I was not even in damage control. I was just spiraling out of control, and I just didn't know how to deal with it. So what I then noticed, and again, this is like years later. So when I took up golf and I wanted to know what held me back and what the tennis demons were in my in why I didn't perform as well as I would have liked to when I was playing tennis. And at the time, I didn't know it was all about lack of self-esteem, lack of confidence, poor mental self-talk, and everything that's all engaged around that. What I didn't realize that I had no routines in place. I had no strategy in place. All I had, my strategy was to panic. And I was in this huge state of panic and worry and fear that I was going to fail. And what happened? I did fail, right? In every aspect, because I didn't have any strategies in place on how to deal with that. And I don't want you to go through that. And if you are experiencing that, then I'm going to show you a few steps of what we can do in a way in which we can deal with that better. Okay, so we start managing that better. Now, before we step into the steps, what did you just learn from what I was just sharing with you? Worry, fear, not being good enough, body's heavy, can't perform, can't move, can't think straight, all of that. Is that something that you're experiencing as well? So let's move on. How are we going to deal with this? Well, I've got 3 great action steps for you to start putting in place. Very, very simple. Doesn't require a lot of effort, but it actually starts getting you to really have a strategy in place on how you can then start dealing with this nervousness, this worry, this fear about not performing well in your sport. So, action step number 1. What you want to do is you want to have a controlled breathing technique. Now, I'm not talking about meditation. You don't have to go off and meditate for 15 minutes or anything like that. Now, this is a really simple controlled breathing technique, and it's called box breathing. It's a really simple thing to do. So, all you need to do is you breathe in for 4. So, you breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you breathe out for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you're working on doing that breathing technique, if you're driving down to where you're actually going to perform your sport, or you sit in the car before you get out and set up your equipment and so on, and you work through that, you only need to do it for a minute or 2. What you start to discover is it starts to help settle you down. Now, the other thing that you can do is when you're out playing in your sport, especially if you have time. So, like if you're playing tennis, you could do it from change of ends when you're sitting down after you've played, your game. Or if you're playing golf, as you're walking from shot to shot, you could be working on that technique. If you're playing soccer, for example, and the ball's up the other end of the field, you could be doing that. So you just got to find ways in which that you could implement it also out on the sports arena with what you're doing. But what it does is it just helps you calm down. Okay, so the first thing is we want to make sure we've got that breathing technique in place. Now, the second thing that we can do is we can do what's called we can implement a progressive muscle relaxation. Now, with the progressive muscle relaxation technique, what you want to do is you actually want to start from your toes. And what you want to be doing is you're working your way up to your head. So what you want to be able to do in this particular technique is like you can tighten up the toes, clench your feet, hold it for 5 seconds, and then relax. Then you move to your calf muscles. Tighten up your calf muscles, hold it for 5 seconds, and then relax. Then move up to your quads and hamstrings. Tighten up those legs, hold it for 5 seconds, and then relax. Then move up to your butt muscles, hold for 5 seconds, and then relax. Do it with your hands, hold it for 5 seconds, tense up and relax. Do it with your arms, really flex and tighten those muscles for 5 seconds and relax. Do it with your belly and your lungs, like really tighten up. Hold it for 5 seconds and then relax. Do it with your neck and your jaw. Really tighten it up and hold for 5 seconds and then relax. So what you're actually doing is this helps relieve like that physical tension, like you're feeling really tight and a bit edgy in the body, so to speak. And it also gives you that sense of mental rest. And it gives you something else to focus on as well, right? So we're putting a strategy in place. The third thing that we can be focusing on is applying a centering technique. And what this centering technique does is you actually just center just below your navel, like in behind your navel, your belly button, as we call it in Australia. And you just want to center your focus on your belly button. Still do that lovely breathing technique. So you're breathing in for 4, holding 4, breathe out for 4, and hold for 4. But you're actually pinpointing some focus purely on that belly button or just behind that belly button so that it helps you really apply some focus and centering you. And again, all these 3 strategies, all they're designed to do is just help you calm down, right? Control the nerves better. I'm not saying that the nerves are going to disappear completely, because we all want to perform well, so there is a bit of nervousness around that. But what we want to make sure that we're doing is that we're applying some techniques or strategies so that we can actually then work on being much more calm. So what are those action steps that you've got to do again? Number 1, use controlled breathing. So that's breathing in for 4, holding for 4, breathe out for 4, and hold for 4. Then the next number 2 action step you want to do is you want to implement a progressive muscle relaxation. So what you then do is you're tensing up your muscles. So you go from your toes all the way up to your top of your head, and you focus on tensing those muscles, muscle by muscle, and releasing that. So hold it for 5 seconds and release. And the third thing, number 3 action step, is you want to apply a centering technique, where is you're focusing on your belly button or your navel, and you're focusing on that point just behind that. You're doing that breathing technique that you were doing in action 1 step, and you're focusing on keeping very centered in what you're doing. Again, it's all about making sure that we're producing this calmness and we've got some control back, and we're starting to let go of that worry and those nerves. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Really love it if you could share with me what you liked best about what you heard today, wherever you hear this episode. That would be really great. And before you go, if you'd really like to boost your confidence and you want to actually start playing out in your sport so much smarter with consistency and confidence, then come to my website, tiffany-mica.com, and get your 3 steps to confidence with the Has Confidence formula, so that you can harness your strengths and build resilience, so that you can activate a positive self-talk and mindset, and so that you can sustain confidence throughout improving your mental and physical performance. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Love it if you could share with me what you liked about what you heard today, and dream big, believe in you, go after dreams. Take care. Talk soon. Bye for now.